So this is the Nothing Phone 3 and it's available for pre-order now and you can get it tomorrow, July 15th, 2025, but you can order it today already. It comes in at $799 and today we're going to do a speed test comparison against the OnePlus 13, which has been requested. So let's see which one comes out on top in terms of performance. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and let's go ahead and begin the speed test with a boot up in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, the OnePlus 13 has the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, and for some reason it was taking a little while for it to show its boot logo, but it has the 8 Elite chip, 16 gigabytes of RAM. The Nothing Phone has the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4, and it does have 16 gigabytes of RAM. The Nothing Phone 3 has been booting up very quick. It's probably related to its like more stock build of Android, but definitely booted up a little bit faster than the OnePlus 13. All right, so let's go ahead and do the biometrics. Now, they both do use the same type of unlock. Basically, they're both using fingerprint sensors. So let's go ahead and see which one can get there first. And it looked like the OnePlus 13. And you can see they're just placed in a different location. So the OnePlus 13s is a little bit more centered. This one's a little bit lower. I tend to prefer where the OnePlus is placing the fingerprint sensor. It just seems more natural. But I do like how the Nothing Phones looks. It's just a simple circle. And I just kind of like how clean that looks personally. So let's go ahead and take a look at the face unlocks, and you can see both of them fly right in, so gonna have no issues with this. And then today we are going to be looking at the Nothing OS 3.5, and if we go over here to settings and I scroll down to about phone, we're looking at the latest version 3.5, and this is the 8S Gen 4, 16 gigabytes of RAM plus the 2 gigabytes right there, RAM booster, and 512 gig storage. Now, the OnePlus 13 launched several months ago and has been one of my favorite phones of this year. It's just so good. We have the 8 Elite mobile platform, a 6,000 milliamp silicon battery. We do have 16 gigabytes of RAM plus RAM expansion, and it does have some of the best animations I've seen on the planet. Now, when it comes to the performance of the main home screens, kind of navigating through, the Nothing OS is a little bit more like stock Android with some Nothing customizations, but not a ton. Definitely reminds me a little bit more of a Pixel-like experience. However, is giving some of the glyph interfaces and stuff of that sort to really give this more uniqueness. But it tends to give me a minimal feel. I quite like the software over here, and my past couple of speed tests, the phone was acting a little wonky. So what I did was I factory resetted this and installed all the apps, and it's running actually a little bit better than my first test. So I might have to do some rematches in the future, but you can see you could just fly through, and Nothing Phone just kind of like runs along very snappy, and that's mostly because it's closer to a stock feel. Now, the Oxygen OS over here, a lot like the Color OS, but definitely quite nice. It's smooth, and one of the things that OnePlus really worked on with this phone is touch response and animation fluidity, and it's so noticeable. Let me tell you, every time I pick this phone up, I'm like, why doesn't all phones have like this super buttery animation feel? Like, this is one of the best. Let's go over here to display, and if we go over here to screen refresh, you can do that auto. But there is an animation section on here. If we just type up in here, animations, you can actually change them, remove them. You can do whatever you like with those. Hold on, let me go back there. I wanted to show that other one as well. The animation effect, it's this one right here. So you can do the enhanced or the standard animations. Now for me, I'm doing enhanced because it looks a little bit smoother and quicker. All right, guys, so everything is closed out for both phones. Let's go ahead and head into calendar on both, and you can see a little bit of loading time on the left, but basically the same. We'll go into clock there. I spin the phones a bit. As we go through the sub menus, no major issues. Let's go into calculator on both. And I did factory reset my Nothing Phone 3 because it was giving me a couple app issues in the past couple of speed tests. Let's go into YouTube here. And we're going to go over here and head into if I go over here, I go to trending. And I go over here to music, gaming, movies. And you'll see no major issues for either. Let's swipe up out of there. And let's go into X on both. And a little bit faster there for the OnePlus. The OnePlus does seem to be moving along a bit quicker here. We'll go into Instagram. And as we scroll through, both of them running just fine. Let's go into Amazon for both. A little bit faster by a hair on the right. We'll go into Groupon. And that was faster on the right, but loading just fine on both. Let's swipe out. We'll go into Dead Trigger 2 and see which one can launch this game first. And of course, it's going to go to the OnePlus 13. That phone is the faster gaming phone. And let's go ahead and swipe up out of here. I think the volume is on the Nothing phone. Let me go ahead and go into Subway Surfers. And you'll see Subway Surfers launching just fine for both. And bang, we're in there on the OnePlus. Let's head up out of here. We'll go into RTS. And RTS is launching gaming engines on both game modes. Pretty much the same. A little bit snappier on the OnePlus, nothing major. So let's head up out of here. And we'll go into Call of Duty. See which one can get to this game first. Getting a little bit of dust there on the Nothing Phone 3. And it looks like it is the OnePlus in the victory, or is it the Nothing Phone? Okay, it's the OnePlus. I have to go to guess there. Both of them loading at about a similar clip, so nothing substantial. Here, you'll definitely be able to get on gaming just fine for both of these. Right here, no major issues. Swipe out, we'll go into PUBG Mobile, and we'll see which one gets to here first. And it looks like is it the Nothing Phone or is it the OnePlus? It looks like the OnePlus is in the lead again. So the OnePlus seems to have a hair advantage here. Not a hair, a little bit more of an advantage with the 8 Elite. So clearly that chip is ahead. But of course, you're paying more for the OnePlus 13, so you would expect it to be a little more powerful. But the Nothing Phone is a more minimal, clean user interface, and it is a different, software that from like these other phones out here. So if you want something different, more unique, you might really enjoy what Nothing is offering. Let's go into 3D Mark. We'll head up out of here. We'll go into Speed Test Net, faster on the Nothing Phone, and we'll go into InShot, and that was faster. Well, let's run that again because them pop-ups distracted me. Let's go to InShot. Another pop-up. I swear I will run these apps 1,000 times before, and then when we get into speed test, they do things like this. So pretty similar there on the final load when there was no more pop-ups. But definitely both of them did great. I think the Nothing Phone is a hair behind with animation speed. Looks a little bit slower and it loads a little bit slower than the OnePlus, but it's not like horrible. It still performs very fast, and the software is 120 hertz on this. The hardware is 120 hertz, so the software runs smooth on there. And we were downloading some resources there that could have played into that Free Fire game, but generally it's a fun phone to use. And the OnePlus over here, really again with the smooth, they came with the heat when it comes to smoothness. With the OnePlus 13. So both of them did fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a look at the multitasking or RAM management now. What's great about the Nothing Phone is at $799, you're getting 16 GB of RAM. So it can hold all of these applications with no substantial issues. I just swiped the wrong thing right there. We'll go to Subway Surfers. So you'll see as I go through the various applications, you would get on just fine. Multitasking, having split screens on this phone, you're going to do great. Look at that. Nothing was closed. There we go to split screen. I could split there, bring this down, head up out of there. I think there's a way you can have a pop window as well on here. If I bring it like that, so you can see pop view right there. And I could just swipe them around, tap that app, make it small like that, kind of like what Samsung does. So definitely you'll be getting on just fine with the RAM management with this phone, no problem. Let's check the OnePlus 13 now. All right, guys, 16 gigabytes of RAM. I expect buttery smooth performance, and that's what I'm getting right now. Also, the OnePlus has a smoother swipe out than the Nothing phone. You have to do those 2 swipes. Let's go over here to Groupon, and we'll go to Amazon. Looks like Instagram was reloading the feed. One thing I don't like is, I don't know if it's because the way I'm swiping out, but I don't like how that bounce kind of like goes like that. Like, I don't know, it feels like it's jumping off of the screen. But some people might like it. Also, the animations on the Nothing phone feel a little bit slower. So overall, I gotta say, generally, I think a person will pick up the OnePlus 13 and say, this phone feels smoother. But that doesn't mean that they'll like the overall software more. So it really comes down to your personal preference on the Nothing OS or the Oxygen OS. I think that's what's really going to make the decision for a lot of people here between these products. All right, and the final scores are in, and it's 2903 on the single core on the right, 2160 on the left. You get a little bit more score on that multi-core score as well. I think what these scores are showing is that day-to-day tasks, they're not substantially going to be that different. As you start pushing it in the game, the OnePlus will be the better phone here for gaming specifically, although this is no slowpoke either in the Nothing phone, so you're going to be able to run your games just fine. Again, I don't think the performance boost is enough to make the final decision unless performance is your main draw, because both of them do run pretty well. Let's face it, both 120 Hertz, both modern chipsets, while this one is more powerful, they both do a good job. So our final results are in, and the Nothing phone did 4023 on this test, and we did 6208 on the OnePlus. So a significant advantage in the frame rates, and that makes sense. That's what I said in the prior statement. I was saying that gaming is going to pull ahead better than 97% of devices on the market. So I wonder how the OnePlus will stack up to an M4 iPad, honestly. Like that iPad was getting like 98% better, 83. So definitely, when you start pushing it, the Nothing phone can't keep up with the OnePlus. I do want to do the OnePlus 13R if enough people want to see it. I will consider doing the OnePlus 13R. But before we wrap things up, let's go ahead and take a look at a quick camera sample. So I'll bring in the OnePlus Buds 3 Pro 3 right here, and we'll go ahead and snap a photo of that for both. Let me go ahead and grab this. Let's back out the camera a bit, and we're going to go ahead and hit the cameras in 3, 2, go. And you'll see pretty good for both. Let me go ahead and do it again. Swipe up. Let's go ahead and swipe these out. If it looks like I'm taking a while, it's because holding 2 large phones at once is not super easy. Let's go ahead and swipe out there, and you can see both of them do a fine job. When it comes opening the cameras, Nothing did improve the camera quality as well, which I will talk about in my final review, my full review, which is going to be launching tomorrow. So be subscribed. Anyway, Nothing phone showing that it does have flagship potential, but I feel like the performance is behind the top tier flagships, although they're not charging top tier flagship price. Like the OnePlus 13 is like $1,000 near there for the 16 gig RAM version. You're paying $1,200 plus for Galaxies, $1,200 plus for iPhones. So at $800, this definitely feels $800. Like, it doesn't feel like top of the line, doesn't feel low. It feels faster than a mid range. It's a good sweet spot. But if you like the Nothing design, you like what they're offering with the software, I do think it's an interesting phone, to say the least. I think some people will really enjoy this product. Which one would you pick though? Let me know down below. And again, stay tuned for the full review of the Nothing Phone 3. I'll be covering it in detail and giving you all my opinions, my take, my critiques, my positives, and everything and more. I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and be sure to be well, and peace.